Hello and welcome to MCPSS Athletics. My name is Calvin Crist, Athletic Director for Mobile County Public Schools. In the studio today we have from Davidson High School Athletic Director and Head Football Coach Fred Riley. But first let's get to the scoreboard. Edwards rushed for 172 yards as Davidson edged MGM 38-36 in the final seconds. Theodore defeated Alma Bryant 23-0 behind a strong defense led by Sean Schamberger. Centennial lost to Baldwin County 52-37. Perryman ran for 3 touchdowns and LaFleur held on for a 26-25 victory over Robertsdale. Harper ran for 3 touchdowns as BC Range blew open a game that was scoreless in the first half and rolled to a 35-19 win over Satsuma. Viger lost to McGill-Toolen 32-13. Murphy rushed for 297 yards as they defeated Baker 28-20 in front of a capacity crowd. Watford led the way with 71 yards rushing. And Blunt defeated Williamson at Ladd People Stadium 49-14. And that is it for this week's scoreboard. After this message, we'll be back with Coach Riley.
The Environmental Studies Center is a natural sciences education facility designed to provide unique learning experiences. In addition, wildlife rehabilitation plays a vital role each day at the center. Featuring more than 500 acres of rich woodlands, the center affords teachers, students, and the general public an opportunity to experience firsthand the natural environment. Environmental Studies Center. It starts with us in the Mobile County Public Schools.
Welcome back. Today we have Coach Riley, Davidson High School. Coach is, I guess you're got more years in than anybody right now, don't you, as far as head football coach?
This is my 12th year at Davidson and 34th year overall in coaching. Yes, sir.
Coach, talk a little bit about your game the other night, 38-36, nail biter.
Yeah, Coach Seymour did a really outstanding job with his team and his plan that night. They went up 14-0 in the first quarter. Our kids showed great resilience and actually took the lead and went ahead 21-14 at halftime and actually extended to a 2-score lead. And their kids showed a little grit and battled back. They faked a punt for a touchdown on us, and we end up at the end of the game having to knock down a last-second pass to win it 38-36. Again, we talk about all the time making your extra points, how important that is. We made every extra point and kicked a 37-yard field goal. They faked an extra point and didn't get it, and it got them off schedule.
Right.
And because if they'd have just kicked the extra point the one time, that would have made it 21-all. At the end when they scored the last time, they could have gone for 2 to try to tie the game. Them extra points are pretty critical.
Yeah, they are. Coach, how hard is it to prepare for someone? Now, Coach Seymour came in from Andalusia.
Right.
Did you go back and see what he did at Andalusia? I know he pulled out a lot of plays on you the other night.
We did. We studied Andalusia. And he didn't do anything that resembled anything he had ever done before. I mean, they always been a 3-man front. They played a 4-man front most of the game. Offensively, he's been a split back veer kind of option guy, and they were a much more power oriented, threw the ball 24 times, every possible trick, hook and ladder, onside kicks, fake punts. I mean, they obviously threw a lot of eggs into that basket to try to win that game, and it obviously had schemed us all summer long, and had a tremendous plan for us. We were very, very fortunate to win the game.
Coach, that says a lot for your kids, though. I mean, to have all this come up and not expecting it or
right. And our staff did a nice job during the game, and I've told this particular bunch of kids. I mean, they've their whole career, they're juniors now. You know, they went undefeated as freshmen. They lost one JV game, and they sort of have a knack of finding a way to get one more point than the other bunch. And the other night was the same thing. I mean, they didn't panic. They were, you know, we knew we were seeing some things that we really weren't prepared for and had to sort of adjust on the fly. And I was really proud of just how they carried themselves and managed to find a way to win the game.
Coach, it seems like you've been at Davidson, you know, forever, but let's talk a little bit about some of your prior stops. I know you got some college experience. So.
Right. You know, I started as a grad assistant at Auburn with Pat Dye. Bo Jackson's freshman year, Bo over the top against Alabama in Legion Field in '82. I was on the staff for that game in the press box. You know, Charles Barkley was at Auburn at that time. There were some characters at Auburn, certainly. Coach Dye was learned a lot from him in the year I was there. Very tough man, but a very compassionate man. You know, I coached at Jacksonville State for a year with Jim Fuller, who ended up being offensive line coach at Alabama for a number of years. And then I was at Chattanooga with Buddy Nix for 4 years. And, you know, Coach Nix was later became the general manager of the Buffalo Bills. And, you know, had a very nice career. He's in the West Alabama Hall of Fame. I was at Southern Illinois with Rick Rhodes for a year. He left and went to Alabama as an assistant, so I got fired again. You know, they cut them when the coaches leave, everybody gets fired. And my last stop was at Miami of Ohio, and in 1989 with Tim Rose. And you know, it's funny, we got fired there with 3 games to go in the season, so I got fired twice in about 9 months, and it moved from Chattanooga to Carbondale, Illinois, to Oxford, Ohio. And in that amount of time, and on that staff, you know, again, you never know how. Dana Bible was on that staff, who ended up being the offensive coordinator with the Philadelphia Eagles and the Cincinnati Bengals. Sean Watson was on that staff, who is the offensive coordinator at Texas now. Terry Hepner was on that staff, who was later the head coach at Indiana, who died of a brain tumor. I mean, there were some outstanding people on that staff. We just didn't win enough games, and then from there became a high school coach, really, because it just the strain of the moving and trying to start a family and have a family just became a little overwhelming, and felt like we needed to come home.
Coach, don't find out college really, there's not time for no family life, is it?
Really isn't. I mean, and it's worse now than it ever was. They thought technology would make it easier. It just made it worse. You're like a doctor. You're on call 24/7 now, all the time, just like you are. I mean, it didn't help.
Right.
You know, I mean, well, they were talking about, you know, we'll work 4-day weeks.
Yeah.
You know, no, now you work 24/7 now, and collegiately, it's hard to have a family. It's hard to be connected as a family, as a college coach. I mean, because you're either on the road or you're at the office. I mean, you're just about sequestered all the time. And, you know, that again, if you're in the SEC or a big time program, I mean, the trade-off is the things that you can provide for your family that you would normally be able to provide financially. But the people that work at North Alabama work the same number of hours they work at Alabama, and those guys are making $30,000 a year, and hoping that one day that they'll get to do the other. But it is a strain on the family. It takes a special woman to be a coach's wife, no doubt.
Coach, do you see this changing any, or getting worse, or just? But there's not no hours left, is there?
There aren't. I mean, it's pretty much tapped out. I don't think you can get any worse in terms of that. I think the direction they're heading in recruiting, you know, I've been pro the day you commit, you ought to be able to sign the national letter that day for years. There's actually talk about that. You know, I said it 7 years ago. Now Paul Johnson's saying it. Bo Pelini is saying it. A lot of college coaches are realizing, you know, we just eliminate the soft commitment stuff. If you want to sign with us, or you can sign with us now, or you don't want to, then you really didn't commit. I think that would help in terms of recruiting and help them a little bit there. It certainly help us on our end. But it's a brutal job. It is they earn every penny. I mean, they really do, because they don't do anything now that's not recorded, not seen. I mean, they can't utter. I mean, you know, it says biblically, you know, you'll be held accountable for every word you utter. But they get held accountable for every word they utter now. I mean, it's not by the good Lord, but it's by the public, and it's a tough job.
Coach, with the change in college that we're talking about, high school's also changed, hasn't it?
And we, I've talked about this before. High school coaching in this part of the world changed in the late '90s. Steve Savarese came to Daphne. Rush Probst came to Mobile County, and those two guys brought in working 7 days a week as a high school coach. A lot of high school assistant coaches at that time vanished because that's not what they were. They were making so little money. They were used to their summers off. All of a sudden, they started working all summer long, working 7 days a week, and football changed, and the intensity level changed, and of course, along with that, a little more money here and there, but a little more responsibility, a little more expectations. This century, football has been different in Mobile than it had ever been up till then, and it just went on with the quality of coaches now in our county it's unbelievable. The backgrounds of some of the people that are here now, and the level of expertise that you see every Friday. You used to be able to out-coach some guys. You better out-execute them because you're not going to out-coach them. These guys are good.
Coach, hang on right here. We'll be back in just a second after this message.
Mobile County Public Schools has equipped its students to achieve more than $96 million in college scholarships. These work-ready certificates include dual enrollment college credit, construction, certified nursing assistant, Microsoft Office specialist, welding, and the list goes on. Striving to graduate students to be college and career ready. Higher learning, growth, and development. It starts with us.
The Environmental Studies Center is a natural sciences education facility designed to provide unique learning experiences. In addition, wildlife rehabilitation plays a vital role each day at the center. Featuring more than 500 acres of rich woodlands, the center affords teachers, students, and the general public an opportunity to experience firsthand the natural environment. Environmental Studies Center. It starts with us in the Mobile County Public Schools.
There's a shelter pet who wants to meet you. Meet one today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org. Adopt.
Welcome back. We're talking with Coach Riley, the head football coach and athletic director at Davidson High School. Coach, let's talk a little bit about your offense this year.
Well, offensively, historically, we've been an option team. We wandered away from it for about a year, really because of personnel issues. Did not have a guy that was a fast twitch guy at quarterback that was ready to do those type things, and in retrospect, it was a mistake. We weren't very successful in doing what we were trying to get done there, and you got to be famous for something. You got to do what you know, and we've the years we've been successful, we've been some style of option team, whether it was a Georgia Tech style or an Oregon style back in the day when they were running a lot of option stuff. We're sort of a mix between the two. We're quarterback, fullback offense. Those two guys. You got to have a violent running back at running back, and you got a point guard at quarterback who's fast twitch, can make guys miss. If you have a tight end, you got it helps. We got a really good tight end, and if you've got a wide out that can stretch the defense vertically, because at some point in time they're just going to pack everybody down in there and say, all right, throw it. Well, then you got to make them pay when they do that, and our best teams have been able to do that. Terrence Timmons added a dimension to us there for a while that he could run sideways really fast. Ran for 300 yards in a playoff game. Terrence, of course, now is a team captain at South Alabama and also received the number 5 award for their team this season, and we're very proud of him. So it can, some years it looks different, but all in all, it's basically the same stuff, just from different formations as we adapt to what our personnel is. We can't go out and recruit, so we have to take what we got and find a way to fit it.
Coach, you've sent your assistants to a lot of famous places as far as offenses, haven't you?
The best trip we probably ever went on was Georgia Tech and Wofford, two great option programs, and took our staff there. You know, our defensive staff 2 years ago went to the Saints and spent days at mini camp with them. You know, we've and as much as anything now, though, you know, with budget restrictions being what they are, and it costs so much to travel, we get as much off of YouTube as anything. You can learn a lot of football off of YouTube because about everybody's games are on there, tape delayed. You can go to ESPN3 and watch about every game in the country, and you can sort through it and sort of figure what they're doing. And also when college coaches come in and recruit, one thing they have to do when they come in and recruit is show us something. They have to show us a drill, your best offensive play, how do you adjust to trips, what's your best blitz. We make them give us a 10-minute clinic when they come through as part of their right privilege of being on our campus. And we've put together a lot of information from that over the years.
All right, Coach, let's go to the other side of the ball, your defense.
Defensively, you know, we're a little unique defensively. We're a stunt 4-3. It's a throwback from what the Pittsburgh Steelers did back in the day, with Mean Joe Green was the nose tackle and Jack Lambert was the middle linebacker. We actually, George Perlis invented that defense back with the Steelers back in the 70s, and we brought in his son, Pat, this past year. We contacted him. He was in town for the Senior Bowl, and he came and spent 2 days with us and clinicked our defense on the stunt 4-3. I mean, had all his daddy's playbooks, notes. I mean, it was really cool to him tell, I mean, about being a kid and went on the sidelines with the Steelers and being around those guys. And so we got a great amount of information from him. We're still, you know, in that, you know, it's one thing to put a defense in, and it's another thing to see, okay, how somebody attacks it and then how to adjust, you know,
Right.
And so once we start playing, you know, how well do we, you know, adapt to how people are attacking the defense is really going to be critical for us.
Coach, let's talk a little bit about your staff. You're one of the few that's been able to retain just about your whole staff year after year. We have such a turnover, and especially the last couple of years.
Right.
So let's talk a little bit about your football staff.
And I think, first of all, it goes back to Mr. Copeland making Davidson such a great working environment for our teachers. As teachers, I mean, it's just a great school to work in. We have very little faculty turnover, and so it starts with him, and then you know, PJ Wright and his wife Mary Claire. PJ runs the defense. Mary Claire basically runs the program, and you know, and Ken Daigle's been with us for years in the defensive side of the ball. Jay Pope has been with us for years. Chris Denny started his first job with us, and now he's in his 30s and a veteran coach. You know, A.W. Ferris has been with us for a while. You know, we've sprinkled in some other guys. You know, we lost Jamal Lett last year, brought him back, former player, and he gets hired at UT Martin as a college coach, and you can't blame him for doing that. And you know, the guys that have left, Danny Smith, I mean, you know, there was legitimate reasons for them to leave. I mean, they were bettering themselves or putting themselves in a position to better themselves career-wise. But all in all, the core nucleus of our staff has been together for quite a while, and it certainly, you know, it makes going to work fun when you enjoy the guys you're working with. Everybody's on the same page, and you know, you can work certainly a lot more efficiently that way when you're not starting all over every year staff-wise.
Well, they pretty much know what to do. I mean, there's not a whole lot of you do this or that, correct?
Right, exactly. I mean, I don't know if I have the energy at my age to start all over at a new place with an entire new staff and then train them to, this is how I want things done and this is how these things need to look. I mean, could I come and do a TV show and leave the football program to people that were there and know that it's all going to get done the way I want? I know right now Jay Pope and Kevin Hutchinson are managing the freshmen and the JV players, and they're doing exactly what they ought to be doing. I don't have to give a second thought to it. I don't know that I have the energy to do that again and start all over. You know, because as you said, I think if you've been there as long as I have, if it's not sort of running itself with me just sort of managing things, then I probably haven't done a good job. And it manages itself for the most part, and again, that's a tribute to guys staying together a long time, and me being fortunate enough to hire really good people, and again, Mr. Copeland helping me keep
No
them
doubt,
by how he
no
runs the
doubt.
school.
That's right. Coach, we're going to take another break. We'll be back right after this.
The more parents are involved in school, the more likely it is a child will succeed. Children with involved parents and attend school regularly make better grades and have better social skills. Every involved parent makes a difference.
Get involved. Ask about your child's day.
And you've got
Explain how your education matters.
Push forward.
Parent involvement, it matters.
You can find more information on parent involvement at MCPSS.com.
I believe that the quality of education that I received at the Mobile County Public School System, I would give it an A+, excellent education. And I feel that they prepared me for my future career. I feel that I received not only the fund of knowledge that I need, but the social skills, communication skills that is needed to compete with any other student, not just in Mobile County particularly, but nationwide.
Everybody has a dream. Mine was to see the ocean. And with a little help, I made it.
Welcome back to our last segment. We've got Coach Riley here. Coach, let's talk a little bit about your game this week with Spanish Fort.
Spanish Fort, could be the best team on our schedule. They are, of course, got a quarterback who's already committed either to Navy or Air Force or Army. He's that kind of guy. Coach Blackman has just basically taken the program where Mark Freeman had it and rolled on with it. A lot of similarities between what they were already doing. I think he sort of tweaked it to his personality, but schematically it looks a lot the same. They've got 2 or 3 former South Alabama coaches on their staff coaching for them now, so they're very efficient in everything that they do. It's going to be fun, great atmosphere. I told our guys, it's like Alabama, Wisconsin, or Auburn, Louisville. I mean, you're going to go in there and it's going to be loud, it's going to be fun. It's a non-region game. It has no bearing on anything. It'd be good for us to go in that type of environment and play. But they are very good. Rightful, I think the state power rankings have them ranked 3rd or 4th in all classes, and they're very deserving of that. And it's going to be a chore for us, no doubt.
Coach, let's talk a little about maybe some of the prospects you've got this year.
Yeah, and I tell you, if you don't mind, I would like to reference instead of the prospects, Jimmy Ward and Jaquaski Tart.
Right. Okay, please do.
We got 2 former prospects playing for the San Francisco 49ers now, and what are got to be astronomical odds that 2 kids that played on the same, not just at the same school, but on the same team at the same time, that are now 2 of the 4 safeties for the 49ers. And I got to watch Jaquaski play this past weekend on the NFL Network. Jimmy, they're not even dressing Jimmy right now because he's recovering from a foot injury, but there are going to be times that both of them are on the field at the same time in the NFL. And they grew up in our school district, and that's pretty neat now. I mean, to see those guys to do the things that they're getting the opportunity to do. And Alphonse Taylor is going to possibly start at Alabama this year at guard. We're excited for him. Isaac Sampson at Alcorn State's been Division historically black college All-American 2 years in a row now. They play Georgia Tech on national TV Thursday night, so we get to see him play. Got 2 guys at Citadel doing wonderfully, guys all over the country playing well. Our current guys, we're not loaded with prospects this year. I mean, our senior group, we only have 16 seniors. 5 of them are kickers, punters, holders, snappers. And, so now the kicker is going to be a soccer player in college without a doubt. And our junior class is really heavy, really outstanding junior class. And we have a couple of sophomore defensive linemen that I think down the road are going to be prospects. Everybody's going to certainly talk about Dante Edwards because he just jumps out at you when he runs the football. Everybody in the county has been watching him since he was a 9th grader, and he's certainly a difference maker. And so it's a little early on the rest of them, but I think this time next year I'll be able to talk to you about some guys that have offers in hand and talk about their potential futures.
Coach, let's talk a little bit about your off-season plan. We talked earlier about the time that's put in, and y'all put an awful lot of time during the summer. So talk a little bit about what you do during off-season.
You know, of course, the earlier you get, the earlier you're done with the playoffs, the quicker you go to the weight room. Last year we were there very quickly, and we didn't make the playoffs, so we were in the weight room. I mean, we literally, we take up stuff on Monday, have a meeting with the seniors, test the team, the next year's team, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and start off season. We take no days off, and hit it running. You know, summer, you know, it's 4 days a week all summer long, but sometimes 5 based upon days of competition. You know, our coaches worked anywhere from 180 to 220 hours in the summer, which again, the fact that we that they started getting paid this summer, and I think it was eye-opening for the folks in the central office to see their hour sheet,
Right.
and realize what they were really doing, and they've been doing that for free all these years, and at least they have at Davidson. You know, I mean, we're not you know, we don't have a big-time booster club and ride charters to games. I mean, our guys do it because that's where their heart is,
Right.
and so a tremendous amount of time and effort is put in, and but you know, these guys love what they do for a living. I mean, you know, you can't fake this for long.
Right, you're right.
You know, I mean, after a while you'll figure out this is not what I need to be doing, and this is more than a hobby, and for our guys, it's a passion, and I appreciate them very much.
Coach, we got a couple minutes here, and I don't want to get away without you talking about something I know is near and dear to you, and that's cancer awareness, and you do a great job with it with your football team. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Of course, you know, like you're right. I mean, Susan dealt with breast cancer back in the 2009 season, and last September was declared cancer-free, 5 years out, and you know, it was certainly an experience that everybody in the Davidson family shared with me, and because Susan's such a special lady, you know, we our pink out game this year is with Murphy, and we've been able to the last couple of years do it with Murphy and do it at the same time, and that's neat. Our student government association does pink T-shirts that way, and brings the American Cancer Society in, and we make usually about $1,000 donation each week from each year on shirt sales, and it's certainly something that will always be a part of what we do. I mean, every year, one of the first things the faculty ask me, what game's the pink out game? Because they're very involved. You know, Susan comes to that pep rally, and the players escort her out, and she's a part of it. But she's just representative of so many people that there's not a family around that hasn't been touched by it in some way, shape, or form. Whether it's your grandmother, your aunt, a neighbor. I mean, we've all had to deal with you know, cancer of some form, but certainly breast cancer has been very prevalent.
And I think our county, more schools are doing things with it, even some of our middle schools. And I think it originally started with some cheerleaders, and now it's just blended over into the football team and the fans, and I think it's just great.
Right, and we have to remind our players again. We don't wear pink for cosmetic reasons.
Right.
Don't wear it to be pretty. Wear it for a purpose. And because a lot of them, if you ain't careful, it's more about how I look.
Yeah.
You know, and then I got me a pink towel, and you know, and so we make sure they think about during the week someone that they're representing as how they play the game that week and wearing that pink.
Coach, appreciate you coming. Always a good time when you come. Best of luck the rest of the year.
Appreciate it, sir. Thank you.
Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next week.